we received a letter just after 7 o'clock this morning informing us that she was resigning from our caucus and was planning to sit as an independent. So it was disappointing. We had scheduled a caucus meeting today. As you know, she didn't attend our caucus meeting on Tuesday either. So disappointing that she has decided to leave the caucus. But our team is united. We're excited about what's ahead, and we're looking forward to moving on with our government's agenda.
Minister Mulroney, she told me last night that she was planning to attend to your caucus meeting this morning. Do you know what happened in the intervening hours?
I don't. But as the minister heard this morning that she's made a decision to sit as an independent. So you'll have to ask her what happened in the intervening hours.
Some people have criticized you for not being, quote unquote, strong enough in fighting against these changes. How do you respond to that?
I have been a very strong advocate for Franco-Ontarians, and I will continue to be that voice at the cabinet table for Franco-Ontarians and for Francophones across Ontario.
Can you tell us what role you played in the changes that we did see from the Premier on Friday?
I've been working very closely with the Premier. He heard from a lot of Franco-Ontarians and Francophones across the country that they wanted to see some movement, and the Premier I worked closely with him to make sure that we did get to where we are, and we're still doing that, and we're going to continue to do that. There is so much that we need to do to increase access to services for Francophones across this province, and that's what I'm going to do as Minister of Francophone Affairs.
What's the mood in caucus? I mean, you've lost now another MPP, this time on government policy. I mean, can you really be that united if so soon into a government you're losing MPPs?
Absolutely. Amanda has made the choice that she thinks is right for her. She had a unique position in this government to speak for Franco-Ontarians, and she's chosen to go sit as an independent. Our party respects her, her decision to do that, but we will continue to do what we were all elected to do, and that's fulfill our mandate, and we're going to do that every day together as a team.
But with all respect, Attorney General, you're saying you're standing up for Franco-Ontarians. Their culture is somewhat being cast aside because their university is gone.
No, we are going to continue to work on the project for the university.
If you ask a Franco-Ontario that, is that what they're going to say, or are they going to be upset that their university was cancelled?
They're probably going to be. I know they're upset. We're all upset that the Liberals left us with a $15 billion deficit and almost $350 billion in debt. There are a lot of projects that we would like to see go ahead. We have been honest and looked Franco-Ontarians in the eye and said, this is an important project to you. We respect that, we know that, and we're going to continue to work on that. That also involves finding ways to pay down our debt and to make sure that we attack our deficit. We cannot, it's a timing issue. It's not an attack on any kind of culture. We respect Franco-Ontarian culture. That is why the Premier is taking the step to ensure that there's a strong voice for Francophones in his office. That's why he elevated the Office of Francophone Affairs to the ministry, and so we're going to continue to do that work on behalf of Francophones in Ontario for the rest of our mandate.
But Minister, you knew the deficit. I mean, everybody knew the deficit was at least $12 billion before you made the promise to keep the Francophone, before you made the promise to keep the university. So is that really a reasonable excuse to cancel it now?
Well, it is. I mean, these were tough decisions that we had to make. We worked so hard to see if there was a way that we could proceed with the university, on the timeline that had been set beforehand. And it was clear that given the scope and the size of the deficit that we can't proceed with that time frame. And so that's what I've said.
Did you make promises that weren't reasonable during the campaign because you made that promise knowing the deficit?
No, we found out the extent of the deficit after we were elected, but as I said, we have been working since we were elected to find a way to move forward with it, and it was a very tough decision for all of us to come out and say, look, we're not in a position to proceed at this time, but we are going to continue to work with stakeholders, with people across the province to find a way to develop a plan that will work for Franco-Ontarians when we are able to pay for it. And when we do get to that point, when we do say we're going to move forward, we're going to actually dedicate funds, make sure that we're in a position, unlike the previous government, which did not dedicate the funds necessary to build this university.
Okay.